Good morning. It is the 26th of March. This is the first time I'm speaking today. My hair looks damp. It's because I washed it yesterday in the afternoon and my hair takes forever to dry. So I think my body is preparing for daylight savings by waking me up far earlier than it normally does. So it's about 6:30 this morning. I haven't vlogged on here for a significant period of time. So let me give you a little bit of where I've been. If you caught my last vlog, you would have heard that I was having a couple of health issues with my foot. Those have continued, which has not been helpful, but I've gone to a doctor and finally got kind of an idea of what it might be. So hopefully from this point forward, we'll have a lot less time where I am just laying on a sofa feeling sorry for myself. Apart from that, I have been taking on a lot more work at work, a lot more responsibility, and I've just not been able to motivate myself or encourage myself in any way, shape or form to do pretty much anything in the evenings. This month's been a little bit hit and miss for writing and then obviously this channel, because this channel is writing specific. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the things that I have done. I'm going to show you the things that I still have outstanding that I was hoping to do. Today is the 26th of March, so I'm hoping to do kind of a last minute prep arch. I think that's what people are calling it, before Camp Nano, which may have to include more world building than I was hoping, and then to try and get into proper revising. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit of what I've already done, what I was hoping to do and might try and get done today, and then the plan for April. So one of the things I actually managed, I don't know how well my camera is going to pick this up, but I found a tutorial for GIMP, which is like a free software you can get, and I've made like a little space map. So this essentially is going to be what I use to try and work out what's going on in each of my sectors in my sort of space world, because at the moment I had a map and it was rubbish and I'm all over the place and I have no consistency. So thankfully the colours, which are kind of randomised to do this, have come out in a way which works for my kind of empires and things. So what I've done is I've added like a little hex map over the top so I can try and work out what's in different areas and then build out like the sectors and stuff. So then I've built in some like historical boundaries. So in my world there's like a empire that's basically come in and amalgamated lots of things, and other people have grown in size and stuff. So like over here I've got like an asteroid belt, and then behind that will be a particular group of people, and then over here is like a collection of different like magical civilizations that then all come together in my kind of space magic-y world. The white are ones where they're going to become part of the empire, but I'm not entirely sure who lives where yet. And the pink ones are people that do become part of the empire, but I know specifically who those are. There is a red one down there. Those are my blood mages who are currently at war with the empire. So that's like the historical boundaries. Then I've made myself like the current boundaries. So we've still got the asteroid belt over here, and then the blood mages have grown in terms of size, and the empire has taken over all of the sort of bluey purpley space, and then they've made their like sector areas. So the main middle one is kind of like where their home worlds are, and then they've got the next sector out, and then the next one, and then the final one is just a little bit more kind of all over the place in there. Down here in the sort of faintly black, you can kind of see, I wasn't quite sure how to make these boundaries work. So down here is kind of like the outskirts area, so that's where there's kind of the gap between the empire and this blood mages, so there's a little bit more kind of lawlessness going on. No one's really claimed the area. It's kind of in flux between whether the empire can take a bit of a hold or the blood mages back and forth. And in here is an area that won't come into play until book 4, so I'm not going to go into too much of that, but I've kind of decided I want that definitely on this map so I know exactly where that's supposed to be. So I've then stuck this into Campfire. So if you don't know, Campfire is kind of a writing system, but it allows you to put a lot of like world building stuff in. So what I'm able to do is put these pins in, and then I can hover over them and it tells me what's in the area. So as I start to try and work out where everyone would have come from, I can add points of interest, and where my crew end up going, I can put it on the map, and then I know for final. What it also lets you do is put in the manuscript. So I've taken my old version of the manuscript and broken it out by chapter. And then inside here, trying not to give spoilers for anything, I might blur some of this out, but I've got the current outline here. So this is, when I went through and reread them, I made notes of what actually happened in the chapter, because if they were slightly different from my outline, I wanted to know what was happening. And then over here, I've got edit notes. So things that I need to go through for this particular chapter and deal with. And then at the bottom of here, I've got overall edit notes. So this is where we start seeing what was probably going to be an unrealistic amount of work for me to do. Let me scroll to the top. So I've got at the top some notes that ideally needed to be done before we started doing proper revisions. So without going through and showing you any of the spoilers for this, I've given myself like a headline. So the ones that I wanted to do before it was done, there's like a magic system and deities one, there's crews and relationships. Anything in terms of the technology, then my blood mages who are called Pax Colus, my empire notes, anything to do with races outside of that, the world in terms of map, the targets that they're aiming for in my main character's revenge plot, and then just other where I couldn't find them. And then where I have notes that probably need to go into specific chapters, I've got like the main and the flashbacks, and then where they kind of affect both. So the plan was to work through all of these, work out where they maybe then needed to go into specific chapters, then work through all of these and put those into the individual chapter edit notes. We've done about 4 of these. There's a lot more in here than I have even got close to doing. So the reason why there are so many notes is because these are 8 books worth of notes. So if you have been around for a little while, during Milwordy, which was 2020 to 2021, I think, I wrote through book 1 to book 8 of the series, and then I read through it and made notes. So what I've actually got is a lot of foreshadowing in here that I potentially want to correct how the world is going to look before I make the first book a bit more kind of substantial. In the original draft, I have way too many types of magic because I keep just adding them whenever I fancy a new one, or if I have a particular problem that would be solved by a different kind of magic, I've been adding them in rather than doing anything like sensible in terms of keeping track of which mages were where or what's happening. So what I'm doing is condensing down both the kinds of magic, so they're a bit more limited, but also as in like the overall kinds of magic. So now I've got like 4 types of actual magic, which is like a blood magic, an emotion magic, a component magic, because that's like they have to have the thing with them, and like a weather magic. Those are the 4 types, and then within that I have condensed down the sheer volume of versions of that I had. The idea is that depending on what kind of magic then they naturally have and what kind of planet they were raised on changes kind of how the magic shows itself. So if you were raised on a particular like more water-based planet, or you were raised on a more kind of hot sand-based planet, you'll have 2 different versions of the magic. So people that have kind of control of maybe water or like stormy weather if they had more of that, versus people who might have more sand powers. This isn't particularly well fleshed out or thought through, but that was the point of March and we haven't quite done that. So I think what I want to do is go through each of the kind of categories that I gave myself in those overall world building points. So the magic deity, the tech, the empire, those kind of things, and try and find like the most important things that are going to end up, if I change them after I've revised this book, will mean major rewrite. So I can try and make it a part of what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to have to either suck it up and do some of this in April, or try and kind of balance my workload in April to have some points where I'm kind of revising specific chapters and some points where I'm looking at the world. Because then hopefully once I've got through all of these notes and I've worked out what needs to change in specific chapters and I've put that into the edit notes, then I can just literally go through chapter by chapter, looking at all of the notes that I have specifically for the chapter or world building things where I think I need to change it, with obviously some idea of I might not necessarily know which chapter is going to be affected. I'm going to have like proper notes to myself, which is where the campfire bit's going to come in clutch, because I need that to be accurate. So when I reference things, when I go, oh, did I change that? I have one solid place where I know the truth sits and I haven't changed it. I've just realised just how white my hair is getting and I may need to fix that soon. Anyway, irrelevant. So that is kind of the plan for this. Today I will not be able to do this all day. I know that, and I might try and do a little bit tomorrow, but I'm also aware that I'd like to try and get this out before we do Camp Nano, so I don't think I'm going to have time to do a lot tomorrow if I want to edit this. That is the plan and the situation and where I've been, and all of that fun shiz. I'm going to try and not spend too much time getting myself ready because I will end up continuing the episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch I have on the other monitor. When I was feeling a little bit sick and sorry for myself, I started doing it out of some nostalgia, and I have literally binged my way through a series and a half in a matter of days. So I might allow myself some things on in the background. I might try and keep track of how many I can get through today. Make a little game to myself. I don't want to count how many there are because I think I'm going to make myself sad. But I didn't realise just how much world building this is going to need, and I should have thought about that. And the annoying thing is that if I'd been able to do more in February and March, I would be in a better place, but it's just not been possible with my health. And the main thing that I want to remind myself and anyone who finds themselves in this situation is that life is going to continue to happen, whether you've got plans of any sort at all. So even though I had lots of really set writing plans for this year and I was really hopeful of getting that to move forward, life has just said no, and there's nothing I can do about that, and pushing myself and making myself worse is not the solution. We're going to be kind to ourselves while we look through the massive notes and see where we can get to. I might do some time lapses if I can find a good angle where I think I can blur what I'm doing, because a lot of these notes, as I said, are from 8 books away, where I've kind of gone, oh, it's cool that we do that in this specific thing in this book, but if we foreshadowed it, and I don't want that to come across in this vlog, I just kind of want to give an ambience of the struggle that will be today. A little bit. We're in the living room. It is 10 to 10, so I have been pretty solidly doing the work on the Space Pirate stuff since about 6:30. I can't remember exactly when I checked in last. Almost 3.5 hours, which I was not expecting today, because in the past few weeks, if I've tried to sit down and do anything, it has been at max like an hour, and even that's been a push. So I have been zoned in. My partner has been giving me a couple of really cool ideas. So my weather mages, who are actually, for the most part, the other drafts, the most boring group, have suddenly become quite possibly the most interesting. That's always fun. I've worked out a lot of like deity stuff. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything, because I am getting quite excited about this now. But in general, the magic comes from connections to deities for different groups. I've been working on kind of their kind of connection to each other, how the magic actually works for different groups, simplifying down the amount of magics I've got. So I've now got like the 4 overarching concepts, and then within those I've got any kind of deviation from that. But it is very cool. I am enjoying myself immensely. Sorry about that, we got a phone call. So I may be in a different slight variation on where I'm sitting, and I have no idea where I left off last, so this is fun. I've been working on the Space Pirates for like a good chunk of time, and I have pretty much worked my way through all of the kind of magic issues that I was having and world building ones. Still got quite a few categories left, so I'll show you kind of where I am on that. And I've also added more to the map in terms of where different like magical races started, which has also allowed me to think about how the Empire absorbed groups, in what order, and therefore how strongly allied are certain people. Because I've got it in my head that the ones that joined the earliest have obviously been in there for the longest period of time and are getting the most perks from that. So there's like the ones that are actually like the most closely related to the Empire and working with them. So I will show you a little bit of that now. We'll cut to my computer and I will show you the map and where I am on things. So this is what we're looking like for the different categories of the notes. So magic system is done. The others have varying numbers of issues inside of them to deal with, most of which I haven't even started tackling yet. And then on the map front, I've added in all of the different where the home worlds or the races for that sector have started. The little pinpoints are going to be like the main home world of them, unless there's like a load of different worlds in the system. Haven't worked that out yet. So that translates to the current map where I've put them in again, and then they can fit into certain sectors of the Empire. So the middle sector will be sector 4. I'm doing it like a London tube map, that the outer sectors are the smaller number and it works in. Okay, so I think there's probably, I might do a little bit more, but that's probably about as far as I'm likely to go today on the particular writing. We're going to go out a little bit later and do a couple of errand things, and then we've got some house stuff to sort out. I don't think I've mentioned it on here, mostly because I think through most of my sort of unexpected hiatus has been what's happening, but I think I might do some videos relating a bit more to it soon. Me and my partner are hoping within the next month to 2 months to move into a house that we are hopefully buying, which is insane to say out loud. The process has been kind of running since January and it's been a lot. So not only have I had periods of illness, but I've also had periods of being on the phone to solicitors and mortgage companies and all kinds of people. We are in a very, very privileged position to be able to pull together enough money to make this happen, because the world currently does not want people owning property. So what you might see from me in the next few weeks, months maybe, interlaced with everything else that's going on, might be videos on like the move itself maybe a little bit, or at least when I finally settle in I'll show you, like, hopefully there'll be a new setup, because the hope is that me and my partner can have separate studies and therefore I will have my own study. So there may be 1 or 2 videos of me organising and rearranging my own study, which would be amazing. And then I might be able to have like a more permanent setup that doesn't just show that wallpaper and maybe a bit of the sofa every time, or the chaos that is the bookshelf. That is something that we're looking at going forward. So I'm not sure how Camp Nano is going to go for me in April. If I'm trying to revise this book, at least a good portion of it, because I've got April and May in my plan to revise, while also trying to finish off all the process of, you know, buying the house and then packing and moving and all of that, while trying to also continue my 9 to 5 somehow. Going to be a very interesting situation, but I will try and take you guys along a little bit more than I have been. Kind of didn't want to say it out loud because I was kind of worried I was going to jinx it, but we're getting to a point now where I think I can quite comfortably say there's a good possibility of this happening now. All that being said, thank you so much for watching. I've been Nikki Starr and I will see you in the next one.